What's going on, Phins fans? It is your boy Dillon, and I'm here kind of a little late tonight because I just got done watching the Sunday night game, Chiefs-Packers, which we will get to in a minute. Woo, man, I'm pumped up. We will get to that in a minute, but for now, I do want to talk about this game against the Washington Commanders. So I'm going to be brief, though. I'm going to keep it, pretty short, but I do want to go through this and talk about it a little bit. Obviously, it was a great game for our Miami Dolphins. And actually, after I talk about the game, I am going to talk a little bit about, what happened today as far as the other games and how the Miami Dolphins were helped out. I am going to be doing my playoff predictor video on Tuesday. So, that will be the full thing with the actual playoff predictor and whatever. But I do want to touch on it because there were some really good developments today. So for now, though, let's go ahead and pop over here. So obviously, as you see, the Dolphins ended up getting a victory today, 45-15 over the Washington Commanders. They moved to 9-3 on the season. 4-9 are the Commanders at this time. Obviously, lots of good stuff out of this Dolphins team. You see 17 points in the first quarter, 14 points in the second, 7 in each of the third and fourth quarters, resulting in the 45 points that we ended up having at the end of the day. And obviously, only giving up 15 was pretty damn good. Real quick, let's see. Wait, where are the stats? Where are the stats? Oh, there we go. Stats. So Dolphins, Tua was 18 for 24, 280, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. The Dolphins did not turn the ball over today. Obviously, we love to see that. Let me go ahead and drag myself over here so we can see this a little better. All right, Mike White did come in at the end of the game because they did start resting starters. Just real quick, there were some injuries. Offensive line has been a shuffle pretty much all season. Who was it? Oh, Jerome Baker was the big one, though. That was really the main one. Armstead, came out, but he was available. McDaniel said at the end of it. And so he probably could have come back in. They were just being cautious with him, so fine. No big deal. Obviously, it was a blowout win. Didn't need him. Same thing goes with Hunt, actually. He kind of re-aggravated his hamstring, but McDaniel said it wasn't as severe. So hopefully he'll be good to go for this next game. But if not, and it's like I said coming into this game, the next game against the Titans, and the game after that against the Jets, whoever they need to rest, like Javon Holland was inactive for today's game, right? I'm perfectly fine with it because obviously we didn't need it, right? And by the way, let me just say this. These backup linemen, and with all this shuffling, they have done a phenomenal job on this offensive line. But anyway, let's keep it rolling. Achane, actually, as you can see, ended up leading the way. 17 carries, 73 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a 4.29 average. Mostert with 11 and 43 yards, 1 touchdown, 3.9. Wilson had a few carries. Hill also had a few carries, or a couple carries. Didn't go very well, but it is what it is. He also, though, did lead in receiving, 5 receptions for a $157, 2 touchdowns, and 7 targets. So, Mostert continues to lead the league in rushing touchdowns. Tyreek Hill continues to lead the league in receiving touchdowns and receiving yards. He is well on pace for his 2,000 for the season. It is a beautiful thing. Jalen Waddle had 5 for 52. Achane 3 for 30. Julian Hill 2 for 23. Craycraft 2 for 16. Love to see the spreading out of the ball. Duke Rowley got a forced fumble. Oh my God, Andrew Van Ginkel cannot go without mentioning this, bro. Andrew Van Ginkel, the way that he just snatched. I love AVG, bro. I really do. That dude has really come on in the past couple seasons. This season, really. And I love how Fangio is using him, man. And I love his spin move. Every time he does it and I'm watching it, I'm like, whoop, whoop, whoop. That shit's great, bro. I love it. Anyway, but that fucking pick 6 that he had, where he just cuts off it was a screen pass, bro. He was like, nah, that's mine, bro. My screen. Fuck your screen pass. That's my shit. It was great. Anyway, whatever. Got the pick 6. 2 passes defensed as well. Elliott and Howard as well. Just some defensive statistics here. And we ended up with, well, let's see, for some reason they never include, well, it actually is not telling me the totals here anyway, but let's see, we had what? 3 sacks, 3 tackles for loss. Obviously the defensive touchdown. So good stuff there, man. Jason Sanders 1 for 1 on his field goal. All 6 of his extra points good to go. Love to see it. Love to see it. Obviously not much there for the Commanders. Howell only had 127 yards. By the way, he still leads the league in passing yards through the interception, no touchdown, but he does have one more game on Tua. Tua's currently in 3rd, but I'm telling you, Tua will retake that top spot here at some point. You can just look for yourself. I mean, Brian Robinson, 7 for 53. Antonio Gibson, 10-35. Obviously this defense held them to pretty not much, or to not very much. So obviously this defense is, we consider it to be championship caliber at this point. It's all beautiful things. It's gorgeous. You love to see it, and it's amazing. So with that, I guess team statistics real quick. Dolphins had 406 total yards of offense. Love to see that, to the 245 Washington. 283 passing yards, 107 for them. 123 rushing yards for us, 138 for them. So, would like to not have 138 rushing yards on the defensive side of the ball, but it is what it is. Average yards per play, us 7 to their 5. Obviously, we scored a lot more. We had the 1 interception. We sacked him 3 times. We didn't get sacked. Tua didn't get sacked at all. And that's what I'm saying. I know. Okay, I get it. It's Washington's offensive line. They got Deron Payne. They got a nice, center of their defensive line, or interior of their defensive line. But our backups, man, holding their own. Anyway, not a lot of penalties. 2 for us, 3 for them. We had the time of possession 1. It was good stuff. Okay, now, before we get into this, because this is amazing, and I fucking love it, and this is fucking wonderful, I just want to go through and actually tell you what happened in these games. So, the Rams actually beat Cleveland, which is good for the Dolphins, right? Because that's an NFC team beating an AFC team, and the Browns were, they're coming into this game, or coming into this week, they were in the wild card, right? Now, we'll see how things have changed, but that's good for the Miami Dolphins. Less competition overall. San Francisco beat Philly. I knew they were going to beat Philly. I expected them to beat Philly, but I didn't expect them to straight whoop Philly's ass the way they did, especially in Philly. And I'm actually surprised the refs didn't help them out more, if I'm being honest. But anyway, they'd kick the shit out of Philly. That one doesn't really matter to us, but just an interesting one of note. 42-19 there. Pittsburgh lost to the Cardinals, another NFC team beating an AFC team. So let's see, Cardinals won 24-10. Then you have Indy beating Tennessee. That doesn't really matter to us. I mean, Tennessee's not making the playoffs this year, and Indy might. So, but just as good, as a wild card, most likely. They win 31-28. Jets do lose, though, which was beautiful. So we can, hopefully put this Aaron Rodgers bullshit to bed. Because they're now, 4-8, I think, on the season. They lost at home to the Falcons. I expected that as well. But it was good to see that ended up happening. 13-8. Detroit beat New Orleans 33-28. It doesn't really matter to us, but that's a fun one. The Denver-Houston game, they were both 6-5 going into that game, so that one really honestly could have gone either way, and Dolphins fans would be fine because they're just a couple teams that are fighting for the wild card spot, so whatever. So Denver is now 6-6, while Houston is now 7-5 because Houston won 22-17. Now, the big game, the game that just ended, the one that gives the Dolphins the biggest bump, is KC going into Green Bay and getting upset 27-19, and it is fucking glorious. It is glorious. It is glorious. It is glorious. And I can't say it enough. So I'm going to go ahead and slide me back over here Okay, now we are going to check this shit out, baby. We are going to check this shit out. Now, if you watched my last playoff predictor, for the past few weeks, I've been talking about how, and I would venture to guess, especially our division rivals, fans of our division rivals or whatever, would tell me some shit like, oh, you're crazy. You're not going to get the number 1 seed. It's not possible. The Miami Dolphins, no way, bro. But I've been doing the playoff predictor in large part, not just to show the Dolphins fans how we're going to get to the playoffs, but more so how we can get there and also get the number 1 seed, get the first round bye, and home field advantage throughout the playoffs up until the Super Bowl, which would be amazing. Amazing. And I kept doing it because it was possible. It is possible. And after today's result, it's even more possible. And let's take a look at why. Because after today's results, guess who is currently the number 1 seed? The Miami Dolphins. And like I said, now Jacksonville was on, they played tomorrow. So that's actually, we need to talk about that. The Ravens were on bye, so we're obviously tied with them in overall record. And because of tiebreakers, we end up edging them for the number 1 seed. They have the number 2 seed, and obviously we still have to play them. Now, here's the thing. I expect Kansas City to win basically the rest of their games. Now, next week, we really want them to win their game because they played the Buffalo Bills. If they beat the Buffalo Bills, that'll drop the Bills to 6-7. KC will then be 9-4, but they'll obviously be behind us in the loss column. Well, I guess, and the win column, because next week we're going to beat the Titans down in Miami and we're going to get our 10th win. Okay? Now, again, as fans, we can look forward. We can look ahead. I mean, the Dolphins are getting ready to start prepping for the Titans, but we can look ahead. Okay? And so, by the way, I have to mention this, and I hope that they put this in Hard Knocks. They have to. I imagine, especially since the Dolphins ended up tweeting it out. Emmanuel Ogbah got a sack in this game, the Dolphins game, obviously, because Emmanuel Ogbah, and he threw up the 1-5, baby. The 1-5. You know what that's for? Phillips. Jay Phillips, JP, baby, obviously, threw up that motherfucking 1-5 for his brother, his boy, and said, we're doing this for you, man. Anyway, back to this shit. So Dolphins are the number 1 seed. Now, here's the thing. This will only remain the case if tomorrow on Monday Night Football, the Bengals... Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not super confident in this, especially because Joe Burrow's not there. But if the Bengals can find a way... If they can find a way to beat the Jags, then we will remain in the number 1 seed. Otherwise, if I'm not mistaken, if the Jacksonville Jaguars do win, then they will jump us for the number 1 seed at the end of, week 13. So, but the Jags have a harder schedule down the stretch than the Chiefs do. And the Chiefs hold the head-to-head tiebreaker. We don't play the Jags in the regular season. We do play the Ravens, so we will have an opportunity to take the head-to-head tiebreaker over them. Now, the problem with that is obviously we have to go into Baltimore. Now, the thing is right now as it stands, if the Dolphins win out, they will get the number 1 seed. Point blank, bottom line, period. If the Dolphins win out at this time, they will get the number 1 seed. I'm pretty sure about that. I'm not 100% sure about that, but the probabilities are super high. Now, we'll have to obviously see later on in the playoff predictor, and that's the point of the playoff predictor, is to see the different scenarios. But I guess there is still technically a world that the Jags could end up jumping us if they were maybe to win out as well. But tomorrow on Monday Night Football, we need to be rooting for the Bengals to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars, so that way we can maintain number 1 in the AFC going down the stretch. And our next 2 games should be wins. So if we continue to win, we can keep ourselves for the next 2 weeks firmly planted, get those 2 wins at 11-3 going into that Dallas game in Miami and as the number 1 seed. The Dolphins have their entire destiny in their hands right now. And this is different than years past. This is not like the same old Dolphins where, we're like the Bills, right? Where we used to be like the Bills are right now. Clawing and scraping just to hopefully, maybe, possibly, potentially get into the playoffs as a wild card. You feel me? But that's not the Dolphins. We're about to lock up our division in the next 2 games. And as you can see, battling for that number 1 seed. And if the Bengals get the dub tomorrow, for at least for the next few weeks, we will be the number 1 seed. Because I expect us to win against Dallas when they come down to our crib. Okay? So I expect going into week 17 against the Ravens in Baltimore, I'm expecting at this point, we'll see how the Jaguars do over the next few weeks and tomorrow, but I'm expecting now at this point, look, the Dolphins lost their last one, right? The Dolphins lost in Germany to the Chiefs. And at that point, we talked about how this could be potentially for the number 1 seed in the AFC, and we lost. And so now they have the head-to-head tiebreaker over us. But again, if we take care of business, the 2, lesser opponents over the next 2 weeks, both at home, the Tennessee Titans and the New York Jets. And then if we take care of business at home against a tougher opponent, a playoff team, et cetera, in the Dallas Cowboys and get to 12-3, going into that game against the Ravens, that should be likely for the number 1 seed, and that would be huge. Anyway, let's just really quick. Obviously, the Eagles on the other side of the number 1 still, although we'll see how that plays out too, right? Because the Cowboys have to play the Eagles this upcoming week, but that's in Dallas. The Niners are the second there, Lions 3, and then Chiefs now are the number 4 seed in the AFC at 8-4. You have the 6-6 Falcons as the 4th seed, which is ridiculous, but the NFC South is obviously garbage. Steelers are currently the 5th seed at 7-5. Cowboys are the NFC representative in that slot at 9-3. Then you have the 7-5 Colts and the 6-6 Vikings, and then the 7-5 Browns and the 6-6 Packers, who just jumped up in there with their win. So amazing things, great things, just it's absolutely fantastic. Again, tomorrow we have to hope that the Bengals can find a way, baby. And if they do, the Dolphins, it's going to be a tall order, but we've seen some pretty crazy upsets this year. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. Not even fucking close. It's 100% possible. Okay? But man, oh man, oh man. If the Bengals can find a way. Hold on real quick too. Who is it a home game for? It's in Jacksonville. Okay, so it's a home game for Jacksonville. We just got to hope, man. We just got to hope that Cincinnati, but even if they don't, like I said, Jacksonville's schedule going down the stretch, I think is probably harder than the Chiefs, and they're more likely to drop some games down the way. So I'm not as worried about them, even if they do happen to get the win over the Bengals tomorrow. But it just would be nice, wouldn't it? Wouldn't it be nice for the Bengals to get the win, Jacksonville to lose, and then for at least the next 2 weeks? Well, if you think, we're going to beat Dallas, then for the next 3 weeks, the Dolphins being in the number 1 seed, imagine what the national media would have to talk about and say. If the Dolphins are 12-3 going into that Baltimore game and currently sitting in the number 1 seed. Imagine. I know that's still a few weeks away and so many things can happen, but just imagine. These are the things that Dolphins fans get to imagine because of the position that we're in. It's fucking great. All right, I'm going to get out of here. That's going to wrap it up. I love you guys. It's amazing. Make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you share my channel and my videos. Spread that shit around. I am really trying to grow my channel, so I would very much appreciate any help with that. Like I said, just like, comments, put some comments in there. I love, responding to respectful, reasonable comments. Make sure you act right when you come in my comment section. But other than that, I love to engage and stuff like that. So make sure you do all that. Like, subscribe, and all that good stuff. So with that, I'm going to get out of here, baby. Dolphins in an amazing place. And fins up. Let's keep the ride going, baby.
Miami wins it.